What was the highest waste of money that you don't regret? A quick 7-day trip to Maui in February a couple years ago with one of my teenage daughters, who happened to be free the same week I had off. Work was grinding me down, and I needed a break. My wife and the rest of the family couldn't go, they were working or in school. The tickets were expensive, $850 each for bare bones economy narrow rock hard seats. It was a 12-hour flight that was packed to the brim. I was getting bedsores by the time we arrived. We rented snorkeling gear and a car and spent every day from dawn to dusk snorkeling, sitting on the beaches, and hiking in the mountains. We did the Hana Road, the 7 sacred pools and the Haleakal Volcano National Park at sunset, and took tons of photos. We ate spam musubi for breakfast, poke and soma noodles for lunch and loco moco for supper. Slept like babies with the windows open wide in the cool nighttime breezes. The best way to blow $5,000 ever. So much what I needed at that point in my life. I spent $300 on a mule. An actual living, 4-hoofed, long-eared mule. We raise cattle, so a protection mule was a good excuse. But, really, I just fell in love with him. He's huge and sassy. He'll steal your hat and run away. He's got a ninja mode where he can sneak up on you, just to breathe down your neck or startle you. He does keep the coyotes away. However, he has proved himself priceless, because he eats thistle. When we got the lease on the land for our cattle, the pastures had been neglected, and were in bad shape. Thistle is a spiky plant that spreads across the pasture, choking out grasses. Cows won't eat it. It's really hard to get rid of. To our surprise, the mule cleared out nearly all the thistle in a matter of months. He would eat the flowers out of the center. He saved us an enormous amount of money and labor. We were able to avoid using chemical weed killers, which we really didn't want to do. Probably the best investment in our whole cattle raising experience. Edit. Loki says thanks for all the sweet comments and awards. He'll definitely be getting some extra carrots tomorrow. My litter robot. Yes, I spent $600 on a cat shitter, but my house never smells. I don't have to scoop litter, and I only have to empty the drawer once a week. Definitely worth it to me. I spent too much money on a big treadmill for a very small apartment, but I've ran 15 to 25 kilometers on it every week for the past several years and it's been incredibly helpful both physically and mentally. $800 for a front seat helicopter tour of Kauai for me and my wife. Totally worth it. Just shy of $20,000 to go to Antarctica traveling solo, small cruise ship. More than I've spent on every other vacation I've taken combined. Was one of the best trips of my life. It also gave me enough space and clarity to realize how toxic my ex was to me so that I could find the strength to leave not long after I got back. I'll always want to go back to Antarctica. The inner peace I found there changed my life. Artwork. Can I always afford it? No. But my walls are full of original, 90% local art. They make me happy to look at. I'm sure I made the artist happy too. J-Opal Nugget Ice Maker. Dang thing cost more than my car payment, but, man oh man, I love nugget ice and I use it the heck out of it every day. Spending hundreds of euros on broken musical instruments, because they were pretty. I have since bought spare parts, and started repairing them. I found my destiny. $120 for a towel heater. I will never dry off with a cold towel again. Lego Death Star. I've been a fat guy all my life. Like, really fat. Dressing comfortably was always my preference, because being stylish just isn't an option at my size. This was always a source of anxiety at any social event that required dressing up. When I realized I had 4 weddings of close friends all coming up within the year, I decided to bite the bullet and get some decent formal clothes. I spent $800 on a suit jacket, $250 on 2 pairs of dress pants, a little over $300 for 3 shirts and 3 silk ties that were between $70 and $100 each. I stood for all my measurements and had everything tailored to my exact specifications. Did a fitting and had a second round of alterations on the pants, so they actually looked decent, even though I wore them under my gut. People were floored when I showed up to the first wedding. I received so many compliments and actual double takes. Being introduced to new people felt completely different. I felt impressive. Some of those weddings were the best times of my life. and it was due, in no small part, to how those clothes looked and made me feel. Some of those friends have big pictures from their weddings hanging on their walls, and I don't cringe in embarrassment when I see myself in them. Those clothes cost more than I had/have ever spent on clothing in any 10-year period, and they were worth every penny. Dining at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Milan. We had an 18-course meal with wine pairings for like $400 or so. The extra I paying rent for a water view. Completely worth it. I spent $3,000 for my wife to meet the Backstreet Boys and get front row seats. It is the best thing that has ever happened to her, and the smile on her face after the show and look of pure bliss in someone who suffers often from anxiety was worth every cent. Just bought a treadmill. There is a perfectly good street outside I could run on, or I could pay for a gym membership for years and years. But now I can get a run in during my daughter's nap time, or when it's cold, or when I only have 30 minutes free, and driving to and from the gym would eat up half of my time. I certainly could have made it work without this expense, but I really love it. €600 for an hour of laps, 3 of 20 minutes each, around the Nürburgring in Germany. It was open in the off season and there wasn't a single other car near me the whole time. 10/10ths one of the most thrilling experiences of my life. Edit. I rented a car at the track, which is why it was so much. You can bring your own car or rent one there, but they don't allow commercial rental cars. Individual laps were I think €20 each at the time. Back in 2017 my family went on a road trip to Minnesota to visit my nana shortly before she passed. During our stay me and my little sister went to the Mall of America and bought whatever the fuck we wanted. Big ice cream cones, Lego store souvenirs, tickets to the aquarium, fare for every indoor amusement park ride, a doll from the American Girl store, and eating an expensive lunch in the store with your new doll sitting at the table with us. Fuck yeah little C's, it's all yours. I dropped over $300 in that one mall trip, but damn was it was one of our best shopping days ever. We still talk about it to this day. I watched somebody bet on all the numbers in roulette. One of the dumbest things I've ever witnessed. I got into a stupid fight with my brother, so I found a game he had pledged on Kickstarter, Space Haven, and saw that for $360 I could write a pre-made character BO that would randomly show up. So I pledged it and wrote a character BO with his name and made him a flaming asshole. I have never played this game and don't want to. When I was younger I came into a sum of about $15k. I wasn't very careful with the money and other than putting $5k down on car, I blew the money here and there. But what I put the largest amounts toward were friends in need. I paid one friend's power bill just before it got shut off. I helped another friend keep her water on. I never could keep my hands on money for long, but I don't regret having wasted it helping friends. I got $27k and spent it on a solo cross-country road trip that led to me moving on the complete opposite side of the country from everyone I've ever known. I was in a dark place in my head. The original plan was to find a nice place to end my story, but the trip itself helped me reconsider, so absolutely no regrets to speak of. Edit. Didn't really expect this to receive this much notice. Thank you for the awards, and I'm sorry if I can't reply to them all. I'm currently kind of swamped. The summer after graduating high school, I won a decent amount of money playing online poker. Since I wasn't going off to college and all of my friends were, I decided to buy them all ridiculous going away gifts. A carpet, mailbox, toilet seat etc. were among the gifts. The most expensive and ridiculous gift I bought on a whim was a massive wheel of cheese, somewhere between $200-300. Little did I know at the time that cheese wheel would set off a yearly event called Cheesagiving where our entire, much larger now with spouses and kids, friend group gets together to celebrate and partake in cheesy goodness. This year was our 17th, unfortunately all virtual due to COVID, and I genuinely hope it never ends. I bought my own tuxedo. It's $1,000-1,200 minimum by the time you get good shoes, shirt, bow tie, etc. for it. I hardly wear it, but goddamn, do I look good in it compared to a rental. I also spent $20 on a mustard yellow hat that has big cheese written and red stitching on it. Only bust it out for the really big occasions. Edit. Picture of big cheese hat. Edit 2. Apparently you can buy these at a Murray's cheese shop in some Kroger markets. Travel. I've never regretted spending money on travel. Those are some of my favorite memories. I can't wait to be able to travel again. Dyson blow dryer. It's worth every penny. I have long hair down to my waist. It only takes me about 3 minutes to dry it. I spent $56,000 on college for a degree I don't use, but I met my husband there, so I really can't complain. If I divide that over the nearly 25 years we've been married and consider that he's the best of dudes, it is a pretty good deal. I went to a Renaissance fair with my husband and some friends. It was his first time, and he's a pretty introverted person, so while he has fun watching everyone else dress up and act all goofy and old to me, he doesn't really participate. When we went to buy our first beer, the wench tried to sell him on one of those big mugs that looks like it's carved out of wood, but it's just plastic. It cost $100. Yes, you get free refills, but we were not planning on drinking $100 worth of beer that day. I could tell by the look on his face that he wanted it. He looked like a little kid at Disney World. Without thinking, I whipped out my credit card and dropped $100 on a shitty plastic mug. All day, he walked around proudly with his mug. He even took some big gulps and cheered huzzah once or twice. This might not seem like much, but for my quiet gentle giant, it is huge. I manage the finances in our relationship and I'm constantly cracking down on wasteful spending, so I think we were both amazed I made such a dumb purchase. 4 years later, we still have that mug. He gets a big grin every time he sees it and teases me about my irresponsible impulse. And every time I see it, I just think about how much I love that big galoot. A business class ticket on a 14-hour flight. I ate great food and slept like a boss. Made a huge difference to my trip as I didn't need to waste a day to recover. Visiting the NBA finals while being an intern in the US. I'm from Germany originally. Tickets were $300 each. Had to drive back the 3 hours from Cleveland to Detroit at night to show up at work the next day, but damn, I'll never forget KD hitting the 3-pointer 45 seconds before the end. Friend spent $30 on a jukebox to play I Whip My Hair back and forth on loop for an hour in a bar. The bartender unplugged the machine. I spent about $6 grand on MC DJ for my wedding, but he was the most professional MC I've ever met. He coordinated all the sound with the videographer, the caterers around the speeches, pre-planned all music, and mixed songs to be the perfect length. I didn't worry about a thing on the day. My first university degree, but it was really my parents' money that I wasted. I don't do anything related to it now. I went back to get the degree that I wanted and everyone told me would be a waste of my potential afterwards. I now work in that field and love it. Moving away from home was one of the best things that happened to me because it allowed me to grow a lot as a person. And also my road bike $4 grand, but I love every second on it. I just paid our full $8K healthcare deductible to send my wife to rehab. We are getting divorced, and my lawyer told me I didn't have to pay for it, but she wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise. $8K is a small price to pay for her hopeful sobriety and treatment of her mental health issues. A new car. I bought a Toyota Camry in 2016. Everyone told me I was crazy. We were in an accident on Thanksgiving 2020 with a drunk driver. That car saved mine and my husband's life. I don't regret it at all. I once bought 30 pounds of candy. I'm a graduate student. I bought a $200 globe that opens up to put my booze inside. No regrets. I was engaged to my high school sweetheart when I was in the military. She had about $5K in credit card debt that had been hanging over her, so I took care of it for her during my first tour in Iraq. I had no bills of obligations. Why not? Well, I spent another 4 or 5K coming home on leave mid-tour and furnished our apartment before going back down range. When my deployment tour ended, I came home and had to find out from my sister that some other dude or dudes were seeing my fiancé and one had been living in the apartment with her the better part of 6 months. When she found out I was back, she ghosted me, changed locks, etc. Her mother apologized to me in the neighborhood grocery store. I regretted it for a long time. mostly being angry, but I don't regret it anymore. It was a far less painful lesson than the ones I've seen men in their 40s come to terms with. At least I got my medicine in my 20s. My wedding dress probably, if you are counting wasters, only wore it for 12 hours. It was about $650, but it is the most beautiful thing I have worn/ever will wear. When I tell this to anyone, they think I might have overspent or wasted. So here we go. Spent around $3,000 for my parents' 25th anniversary. I gave them 25 gifts each day, and the last few days gifts were pretty grand. The reaction I received from them makes it so worth it. I finally spent high bank and got a Super Prissy Predator 1440 monitor for my PC. Wow. Worth it. GPUs and frame rates are what I thought I wanted, but oddly the best video upgrade is actually the thing that displays the video. Who knew? Lol. I wouldn't like to guess how much I spent total on it, but cosplay. Used to be really into it and going to conventions. Nothing bad happened to make me quit. I just noticed that I was starting to have less and less fun with it, so I stopped. Perhaps I'll hit up a few events once things are safe again for old time's sake, but I can't see myself being as into it as I was. Still, I had a really good time, met some very nice people, and learned some sewing/craft skills which I still use, so it was worth the money. I bought kitty ear headphones. I'm not a streamer. I'm also a guy. I like my kitty ear headphones. My first paycheck I bought a $900 wedding cake. Me and my brother had no way to get it home, since it didn't fit on our skateboards. We just had a cake fight in the parking lot. My brother passed away shortly after that. I still think about that day whenever I'm sad. Edit. For everyone asking, I worked as a window cleaner. I'd rappel down the side of 30+ story buildings. I spent $3 on this 2 feet tall alien action figure, and I hid it behind my husband's monitor. He still hasn't found it yet, even though the alien's little feet are sticking out from underneath it. His favorite movie is Aliens. My middle was with me when I bought it, and she asks weekly if he's found it yet. Best $3 I ever spent. Other than that, I don't waste money other than door dashing food every now and then. I grew up dirt poor, so I save every penny I can. I spent $5,000 I barely had for emergency surgery for my dying dog, knowing the outcome was likely to be his death regardless. He still died. I would do it again. He was my best friend and I know I did everything humanly possible to help him. Got an Apple IIe computer from the early 80s in 2019. Rarely use it, but love that it's there. In 2019 I dropped 20-25k on an insanely lavish vacation. Flew my girlfriend, my best friend, my 2 younger brothers, and one bro's girlfriend out to Vietnam. Another of my best friends flies everywhere for free, so they came too. We all stayed for a week and had an incredible time. I got us some great Airbnbs. I booked out all 3 suites on the Emerald cruise ship in Ha Long Bay. Me and my girl got to stay in the same suite Anthony Bourdain and Senator McCain stayed in. Then I made sure that on the return my brothers and their girlfriend got a day-long layover in Tokyo. Me and my girl went with them and spent most of the next week there after they left. It was a lot of money, but I was making a lot of money at the time. I knew the money wouldn't last, and we got to have an incredible experience. I could been a bit more deliberate and saved a few grand here and there, sure, but all in all I don't regret it. I bet 2 50-year-old dudes $200 each that they wouldn't kiss each other in a bar in a deeply red Midwestern town. And yes, they did it for 60 seconds. Be sure to like and subscribe for more reading Reddit videos. Thanks, bye.